My horse, my friend. I was only 17 when I found the horse. It was a cold morning. I was walking near the river, thinking about nothing. Then I saw him. He was standing alone near the trees. His leg was hurt, and he looked tired. I moved slowly. He did not run. I talked to him in a soft voice. He watched me but stayed still. I knew he needed help. I took off my jacket and put it on his back. I walked home as fast as I could. I told my father about the horse. He looked at me and said, "Show me." We went back to the river. The horse was still there. My father checked his leg. "It's not broken," he said, "but he needs rest." We brought a rope. The horse followed us. Step by step, we walked home together. At home, we gave him water and food. We made a place for him in the backyard. I sat with him for hours. I told him stories. I told him my name. I called him Blaze. He listened. He looked at me with calm eyes. I felt close to him, even though we just met. That night, I could not sleep. I kept thinking about him. The next day, I woke up early. I ran to see Blaze. He was standing, waiting for me. His eyes were soft. I cleaned his leg. I gave him fresh hay. I brushed his hair. He looked better. My little brother came to see him, too. Blaze did not move. He stayed calm and quiet. From that day, Blaze became part of our family. Every morning, I went to see Blaze. I gave him food and water. I walked with him, I talked to him. He never spoke, but I felt he listened. He liked my voice. When I was sad, I sat near him. I told him about my day. I felt better. He made me feel strong. He made me feel seen. My father showed me how to care for a horse. He taught me how to wash him, how to feed him, and how to ride him. I learned slowly. I made mistakes. But Blaze was patient. He never kicked or ran. He was gentle and kind. We grew close. I smiled more. I felt free when I was with him. Weeks passed, and Blaze got stronger. His leg healed. His steps were fast again. One afternoon, I put a saddle on his back. I climbed up slowly. My heart was beating fast. Blaze stood still. Then we moved slowly at first, then faster. I laughed. The wind touched my face. I felt like I was flying. That ride was the first of many. I rode Blaze through the hills, the rivers, and the fields. He was fast. He was brave. I trusted him with my life. We saw many places together. We chased the wind. We raced the birds. I felt alive. I was never alone. Blaze was always with me. At night, I sometimes sat by his side. I watched the stars. I thought about my dreams. I told Blaze everything. He listened. He never judged. He was more than a horse. He was my friend, my heart, my wings. I did not find him. He found me. That was how our story began. A cold morning, a quiet river, a boy and a horse. I did not know it then, but that day changed my life. It gave me love. It gave me purpose. It gave me Blaze. Every day after school, I ran to see Blaze. He waited for me near the gate. When I got close, he made a soft sound. I smiled and touched his face. His eyes were warm. I gave him food. I gave him water. Then we walked in the fields. The sun was soft. The grass moved with the wind. I felt peace beside him. I talked to Blaze about my day. I told him about my teacher. I told him about my dreams. He listened to everything. When I was happy, he looked proud. When I was sad, he stayed close. I sat with him for hours. His breath was slow. His heart was calm. He made me feel safe. One day, I had a big test at school. I was scared. I could not sleep the night before. In the morning, I saw Blaze. I held his head and talked to him. "I'm scared," I said. He looked at me with kind eyes. I touched his hair. My fear went away. I felt strong. I did well on the test. Blaze liked the river. I took him there many times. He walked in the water and drank slowly. I sat on a big rock and watched him. Birds flew above us. Trees moved gently. The world felt quiet. I loved those moments. Just me and Blaze. No noise, no rush, only peace. One afternoon, it rained. The sky was dark. I ran to see Blaze. He was wet but not scared. I brought a towel and dried him. We stayed in the small barn. I sat on the floor. He stood beside me. Rain hit the roof. We listened in silence. I was happy to be with him. One morning, my little brother asked to ride Blaze. I helped him climb up. Blaze stood still. He walked slow and calm. My brother laughed. He held my hand from above. I walked next to them. I was proud. Blaze was careful. He was gentle with children. He made us all smile. We started going on longer rides. We saw new places. We passed trees, hills, and small roads. I felt like a traveler. Blaze was my guide. Sometimes we stopped to rest. I took off his saddle and sat by his side. We ate apples together. I felt lucky to have him at night. I wrote in my notebook. I wrote about our rides. I wrote about the wind and the sky. I wrote about Blaze. My notebook was full of simple things, but they meant a lot to me. They were my memories. They were my story. And Blaze was always there on every page. One summer morning, I woke up early. The sun was high, and the sky was blue. I went to see Blaze with a small bag. Inside the bag, I had bread, water, and some apples. We were going for a long ride. Blaze seemed excited. His ears moved, his tail waved. I smiled and touched his back. We walked past the village. We saw the baker. We saw the old well. Blaze moved slowly. I looked at every tree and every stone. The air was warm. The road was dry. We followed the sound of birds. I felt free. I felt alive with Blaze. Every day felt special. After 2 hours, we stopped near a lake. The water was clean and bright. Blaze drank slowly. I sat on a rock and took off my shoes. I put my feet in the lake. It was cold, but nice. Blaze stood beside me. He looked at the trees. I gave him an apple. He ate it with joy. We rested under a big tree. I took out my bread. I ate and looked at the sky. Blaze lay down beside me. I put my hand on his back. His body was warm. I listened to the wind. I listened to the leaves. It was quiet. It was perfect. That moment stayed in my heart. Later, we went into the forest. The trees were tall. The light came through the leaves. Blaze stepped on dry sticks. They made small sounds. We saw a deer. It ran away fast. Blaze did not move. He just watched. I smiled and said nothing. I loved the way he stayed calm. When we got home, the sun was low. My mother stood at the door. She smiled at me. "You two had a long day," she said. I nodded. I was tired but happy. I took care of Blaze. I gave him water. I brushed his hair, then I sat with him one more time. That night, I could not sleep. I kept thinking about the day, the ride, the lake, the forest. I wrote everything in my notebook. Blaze was in every word. I drew a small picture of him. He was more than a horse. He was my friend. He was my joy. He was my home. One day, dark clouds filled the sky. I looked outside and saw the wind move fast. I ran to the stable to check on Blaze. He stood quietly, his ears up. I touched his head and spoke to him. "It's just a storm," I said. Rain started to fall. Blaze stayed calm. I stayed with him. The rain was strong. Water came into the stable. I moved some hay to keep it dry. Blaze watched me with big eyes. I knew he trusted me. I worked fast. My shirt was wet. My shoes were full of mud, but I didn't stop. I wanted Blaze to feel safe. Later that night, the wind grew louder. A branch hit the roof. Blaze jumped but didn't run. I stood next to him and touched his neck. We waited together. I counted the thunder. I watched the light outside. Time moved slow, but I was not afraid. I was with Blaze in the morning. The storm was over. The sky was gray but calm. I opened the door and saw water on the ground. Blaze stepped outside slowly. He smelled the air. He looked around. Then he started to run. His legs moved fast. His tail flew behind him. I laughed loudly. We walked around the village. People fixed their roofs. Some trees had fallen. I helped Mr. Adam move a small tree. Blaze waited near us. He didn't move much. He watched me work. His eyes were soft. I felt proud to have a strong horse like him. That evening, I gave Blaze some carrots. He chewed slowly and looked happy. I brushed his hair longer than usual. I cleaned his feet. I talked to him. I told him about my day. He didn't answer, but I felt he listened. It was quiet and peaceful. At night, I sat with my father. I told him about the storm. I told him how Blaze stayed calm. My father smiled. He said, "You two are a team now." I nodded. I felt that too. Blaze was not just my horse. He was part of my heart. Before I slept, I looked at the stars. I thought about the day. I thought about Blaze. I knew we would face many days like this. Rain, wind, sun, or snow. It did not matter. We would stay strong together. Always. Winter was here. The air was cold and sharp. I gave Blaze a warm, thick blanket. I brought him food and fresh water each day. His breath made small white clouds in the cold air. I wore gloves, a big scarf, and a wool hat. Still, my face felt cold, but I always went to Blaze every single morning. One early morning, snow covered everything. The ground, the trees, and even the fence were all white. Blaze stood near the stable, his legs deep in the snow. I laughed and went to him with slow steps. He moved carefully but was not afraid. I held his rope, and we walked together. The snow made soft sounds under our boots. We walked to the big hill near the farm. The trees looked quiet and beautiful. The sky was gray, and the wind was slow and soft. Blaze stopped and looked far away. I stood by his side and said nothing. I felt peace in my heart. I touched his back gently, and he moved his head and looked at me. That day, we saw some children in the field. They were laughing and building a snowman. Blaze stood still while they came near. They touched his face and gave him grass. He moved his ears and blinked slowly. The children laughed more. I took a photo of them. It became one of my favorite memories. The snow stayed for many cold days. I made clean paths to the stable. I brought hay, water, and carrots for Blaze. I cleaned his feet every evening. He stayed strong and healthy. I stayed busy and warm inside. My hands hurt from the cold, but I smiled. I liked every quiet day I spent with him. One long evening, I sat by the warm fire. My mother made hot soup with bread. I told my parents about Blaze in the snow. They listened to every word. My father said, "You love that horse like a brother." I nodded and smiled. "He is my best friend," I said with love. That week, I started writing in my notebook again. I drew Blaze in the snow. I wrote about the days with snow and cold. I also wrote about the joy and quiet. Blaze beside the children, Blaze running in the white field, Blaze eating carrots from my hand. All those moments felt like a dream. Before going to sleep, I always went to see Blaze again. The moon was high and bright. The snow looked silver and soft. Blaze walked to me when I opened the gate. I touched his head and stood by him. In the cold night, we were warm together, not from fire, but from love and trust. Spring came slowly. The snow melted, and the grass turned green. Flowers grew near the trees, and birds sang again. Blaze walked more, and I could see his joy. We ran across the fields fast and free. The cold days were gone. The sun was warm on our backs. We smiled without speaking. One day, I found a small broken fence. Blaze had not run away, but I fixed it fast. He stayed in the field and waited for me. That showed trust. He could leave but didn't. I touched his head and said thank you. He looked at me with calm eyes. I knew we had something strong in summer. The days were long. Blaze liked to walk near the river. The water was cool and clear. I sat on a big rock and watched him drink. Birds flew over us, and the sky was blue. The world felt full of peace. I felt lucky to live this life. Simple, quiet, and full of love. One evening, we saw a deer in the trees. It was small and shy. Blaze stopped and looked. He did not move fast. The deer watched us too. After a moment, it ran away. I stood still with Blaze. That short moment felt special. Nature was close to us. We were part of it now. In autumn, the leaves turned red and yellow. The ground was soft with fallen leaves. Blaze liked the smell of dry grass. I walked with him every morning. He kicked the leaves as we moved. The wind blew gently. I wore my jacket again. The year was ending, but I felt full. I started to teach my little cousin how to ride Blaze. She was afraid at first. Blaze was calm and slow. I held her hand, and we moved together. Her smile grew day by day. Blaze helped her feel brave. I was proud of him. He gave joy to more than just me. One rainy day, I stayed near Blaze's stable. The sky was dark, and the rain was heavy. I listened to the drops hit the roof. Blaze was dry and warm inside. I cleaned his back and fed him slowly. He ate and looked at me. We didn't need words. We had quiet friendship. The rain didn't stop for 2 days. The field was wet and muddy, but Blaze didn't complain. He stayed calm and patient. I gave him hay and clean water. Every hour, I checked on him. When the rain stopped, I opened the door. He walked outside and took a deep breath. One day, I got sad. I had a bad test at school. I didn't speak to anyone. I walked to Blaze. He came close and pushed his head on my arm. I smiled. He knew how I felt. He didn't talk, but he helped. I sat with him in the grass. Slowly, my heart felt better. My father watched us one morning. He said, "You and that horse are the same." I laughed. Maybe he was right. We liked the quiet. We liked the trees, the wind, and the stars. I didn't need many things. I just needed time with Blaze. That was enough for me. I took a picture every week. Blaze standing in snow. Blaze under trees. Blaze with my cousin. I made a big album. Each photo had a short line, a memory, a happy moment. That book became special. A story without many words. Just love. Some nights I dreamed of Blaze. We were flying over trees. We ran across the sky. He was strong and bright. I felt light and free. I woke up smiling. I knew it was only a dream, but it showed how much I loved him, more than words could say. Even now, when I look back, I remember those days, the walks, the cold, the warm sun, Blaze by my side, always calm. I don't know if I gave him much, but he gave me everything. I grew with him. He was my best teacher. This story is not about a big thing. It is about small things. A look, a walk, a soft sound. Blaze showed me how to feel, how to care. He was not just a horse. He was my friend, my heart, and he still is forever. It's a good way to practice English every day. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel English Listening Stories 24/7 with Alicia for more stories.